and you...
It sounds like you're adding identity as a problem. We have an identity problem. Of course, you're adding something like land, but you also seem to be adding that our brokenness was because our way of living was taken from us.
I'm saying everything was taken from us. Our way of living, our identity, our
so we may need to fix that.
So I don't know if we can ever go back, because I think certain things, once it's broken, you can't replace it. But I think that broken, defeated, we are losers. If we look at what happened, we lost. You know, if you lost, you're a loser. And we still have a loser mindset. So now having a broken mindset, you have to overcompensate in so many ways. You think about the loser nerds that we were joking about. If they had an inferiority complex as losers, they're going to try and overcompensate.
Mark Zuckerberg will say, he does mixed martial arts and he's fit as fuck.
So you're doing that to try and overcompensate.
Jeff Bezos as well.
An insecurity, you know, like, oh snap, I was this, now I'm trying to overcompensate and become something else. Or I didn't have bitches, now I need to have 50 bitches. Or I didn't have a car, now I need to have 20 cars. And I think Uti is constantly be that. And if you can't do it for real, you might as well fake it on social media, because they none the wiser. They'll end up believing. So I think there's a core fundamental that we need to fix, which is a broken mind. I think our politicians are broken mentally. That's why our politicians can be given 10 million for AIDS relief. They can be here, ARV, but because and it's broken, France is with baddies because he's broken.
You know, yeah.
And
to add to what you're saying, you know, there's a time where I'm like, I'm not going to blame politicians. The day I realized that politicians come from these homes you're speaking about. They're not unique. They didn't go
Why would you not blame them?
Because they come from broken people. They come from a broken family.
But they choose to lead, though.
They don't know what is to lead. They didn't go to a school that says to be a politician, you must go to school for 6 or 7 years, and that's what it means.
So does that mean we must give them a free pass?
No, we shouldn't. I'm just saying I can understand some of the decisions. I'm not condoning them. I can understand them.
You understand the train of thought of
they come from us. They come from that grandmother who let a child be a slave queen, and she still child that money from that child, even though she doesn't need the money. They come from those families. They come from broken.
They come from brokenness, so they are broken.
So their behaviors of a broken person.
The same way when you know AMAGENTS, they also know AMAGENTS.
Exactly.
The same way they know prostitutes, you know prostitutes.
Yeah.
So summit. No, President Banban. Oh, Nala summit. Then you realize, oh shit, he's also a jet, like you're a jet.
Exactly.
Then you're like, fuck.
So they don't have some sort of a moral high ground or high discipline. They're just ordinary human beings who come from broken families. And they they're in a position where they've got access to a lot of money. But their behavior is the exact same behavior that any person would have in those broken families.
But doesn't that title come with a certain level of morality that you need to have?
But
the title itself, whether it's being a politician, in the same way there's a level of morality when it comes to being a priest, to being a police.
Yeah, but our priests are also fucked up, bro. They're still sleeping with Tomantumas and it's quiet. So when you're broken, you justify umpeto. You know, we've all done really stupid things, but you find a way to explain what, you know, the thing about this girl, the reason why she's different is, you know, or the reason why I spent money and I flew her, would justify like absolute ass. And I think because it's broken people being governed by other broken people, you know, being led by broken people. Umfundis in their congregation is kids that don't have school shoes, that don't have this. Umfundis is wearing crocodile skin shoes that cost 8,000 rand. Meanwhile, there's kids that are figure like so in you know, it doesn't faze him. You know, he's driving a 2 million rand car and abantu bahlala in shacks. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, dude.
His brain, because of he also grew up in the same poverty mindset with us. For him, he's popping, so he's good. He sees himself like a CEO of the church, you know. So he doesn't. It's whatever.
Slim, you want to add anything onto the agenda?
You got down identity, like an identity crisis. As a country, I think we have an identity crisis.
Do you think we need a national identity? Or do you think people need to find their identities in things like culture or religion?
I think find your identity in culture.
We shouldn't have one South African national identity and squash the others. Like when the Springboks play, like this is us. You don't think that's what we need as a country?
Maybe it is. But from the religions that I know that seem to be doing really well, right? If you look at like the Jews, for example,
Doing well financially,
so to say, right? They, before the parents took the kids into the world, they took them to a Jewish school. So it's like kind of like first understand your own, the person who looks like it. It doesn't matter what the world says about them. You must understand this person. You must get this person. And by the time they go out to the world, they have a certain level of value for other Jewish people, right? I think with us, it's very difficult for us as a culture to value.
So before you're South
because
African,
you're always looking at the wrong thing.
before you're South African, before you play for the Springbok, you're a Jewish boy.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.